Hello and welcome. My name is Nafkot Gebeyehu. I'm a photographer. And we are here in Addis Ababa, the capital city of Ethiopia. Addis Ababa is called the political capital of Africa because it is home to the African Union. It is a modern city with bustling streets and a rich nightlife. Addis Ababa means new flower. And here we have the beautiful Bethlehem Anteneh Church. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church is one of the oldest Christian bodies in the world, and it has influenced the visual culture of Addis. As a photographer, my friends and I are the new generation of artists. We're embracing technology while still paying homage to the more traditional artists who have gone before us. Now I'm going to show you some of the talented artists here in Addis. Let's go. Coming up in this episode of DW's Art.See.Africa, we meet painter Selome Muleta, who is vividly capturing feminine experiences. Bethlehem Anteneh introduces us to the dynamic, interactive world of game painting.
They're also enjoying the process, right?
We explore an exciting sculpture garden with Tesfahun Kibru. And sculptor Adiskidan Ambaye shows us how she unlocks the magic of wood.
Take it apart.
We see the streets of Addis captured through the lens of Mahathir Haile Selassie. And legendary painter Tadesse Mesfin shows us his latest works, inspired by the women in the markets of Addis.
So I just try to make some details,
Our DW Art.See.Africa journey begins in East Addis Ababa. We visit the studio of painter Selome Muleta. In Ethiopia, only 1/3 of women are employed. Homes are female spaces, and Selome Muleta focuses her work on the inner lives of women. What do you want the audience to see when they see your painting? How do you want the audience to interact with it?
When I look at my work, I see myself. You would also see yourself in my painting. And when you do, you have moments of memory which your mind refers to. So, I want everyone to see themselves when they see my work.
In your paintings, I've noticed, especially when you're painting women, their faces are either blurred or cropped. Why do you choose to do that?
When I do a portrait, it is the face or the hand that I paint. I only focus on the part that I want to. I don't, as in photographs, worry about getting the eye right, fullness of the picture, proportion, and all that.
Who are these women?
Every woman. For example, if I do your portrait, I don't capture you in a literal way.
I love what you said about you emphasize on a certain aspect of the portraits that you paint. It would be an honor to be sketched by you. Okay, I'm really curious. I want to see what you did. Ooh!
A different Nafkot.
Wow!
Weren't you able to see it from there?
No, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell what was happening. Wow! It's me, but it's not me. You know what I mean? This is so cool. Can I keep it?
Oh.
Yes! She's gonna
Let me sign it.
She's gotta sign it first. We leave behind Selome Muleta and head west across Addis. And now I'm going to be showing you a woman that has been claiming her space in the sculpting world, Adiskidan Ambaye. Let's take a look. Adiskidan Ambaye is a sculptor who creates bold carved pieces that mirror the organic shapes found in nature. Frozen water, rocks, and skeletal structures are all captured in her work. Oh wow, what are we looking at? This looks very interesting.
I've been working on concept, movement, and emotion. I had to do a lot of drawings because I have to understand how I'm going to put the pieces together, how I do the layers, because I work with layers to see it in different perspective, which way I should go, horizontal or vertical. So to determine that, I just have to do few sketches and see how I'm going to put the things together.
I'm very curious to see how this translates into the piece.
Okay, let me show you how the process works. So this is a very interesting project that I'm doing right now, incorporating nature with manufactured wood. So very organic, old, and it kind of catched my attention. So it was like one big piece, so I had to cut it in pieces and then carve it a little bit and clean it up. The interesting part is you can see it's man-made wood or manufactured wood merged with the natural wood. So once it's finished, it's going to take a different position, which is like that, and then all these layers are going to be stuck together, and then I'll start carving it.
What about this piece over here?
So this is not like you see one piece. It's all layered and carved and put together.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible because, when you see your pieces, what's the most striking thing about it is it looks like it's frozen in motion, and it's like a water being poured but frozen, or something is happening but it's kind of, just placed, paused.
Yeah.
So another thing I wanted to ask you was the shadows, the dimension. How did that come to be?
I usually torch it with the torch. I kind of like it. It's almost like painting on a sculpture, and then do the shading and the giving it another shape, giving it that dark and light reflection on it, gives it another shape, and I like kind of painting it with the torch.
What kind of emotions are you trying to express?
It's kind of showing the freedom of a woman, kind of forces you to go around it, all the shapes and the darkness and the lightness and stuff. So, and I like it, how it has different color on it. I want something physically to challenge me. And not only physically, I have to think how to put this thing together, the balance. And so that challenge kind of gives me really great satisfaction.
Adiskidan Ambaye is the embodiment of a strong artist claiming her unique place as one of the few female woodcarvers in Ethiopia.
Okay, bye.
In the south of Addis Ababa, our DW Art.See.Africa journey takes us to another sculptor. This time we are visiting the Bethlehem creative space. All of the outdoor sculptures on display are the work of Tesfahun Kibru. He is a member of the Bethlehem creative collective. Tesfahun bends and welds sheets of metal and found materials to create his mythic creatures. How do you decide what to make? Is it you decide I'm going to make this and you choose the material, or is it the other way around?
Often I'm open-minded and start improvising. I start from something and that will guide me. And as it develops, my mind also tends to mature.
So I know this piece the most. It's my favorite and I'm very familiar with it. I just want to know about the technique that you use when building your pieces.
recycle materialin መጠቀም ነው
I use recycled materials.
በሁለተኛው ዙሪያ ያልኩት
And when I start using the steel in the second round, I begin hammering to create the desired shape.
ማለት ነው የምፈልገውን ቅርጽ በማምጣት እጠቀማለሁ
Your sculptors are part of an environment. They're pretty big. How do you feel about them changing over time because of the weather?
አየሩን የመቋቋም
I work with steel because it can withstand the weather, based on the thickness or the thinness of the steel.
እሱ ራሱ
The thin steel is highly likely to be damaged,
ያው የመበላሸት
but with the thick one, even with the rust itself, it is strong enough for me.
ዝገቱ ራሱ
That is one of the reasons I use
ጠንካራ
it.
ስለሆነ ብረትንም የምጠቀምበት ምክንያት አንድም ለዛ ነው
Having explored Tesfahun's alchemy with metal, we leave to meet a very different kind of creator. Bethlehem Anteneh is a game-thinking designer and architect. She is using game thinking to find innovative ways to tackle Addis Ababa's social challenges.
Game thinking is actually basically the art and science of actually engaging people to go onto like this path of development of skill and mastery and so on, right? So like imagine using games as tools, right?
Okay.
Basically, you can just go on into so many different sectors and basically apply them.
33% of people in Addis are under the age of 29. This makes young people important players in solving our social challenges of unemployment and inadequate infrastructure. There are around 58 million mobile phone users in Ethiopia. So I have this app over here, and I know you worked on it, Art.See.Africa. Walk me through it. Bethlehem is a creator of Art.See.Africa. This app presents an opportunity for large-scale cross-country collaborations on the African continent when it comes to imagining better cities for those who live in them.
Imagine 15 countries, 200 plus people in Africa coming together to rethink about the future of their cities.
Right.
And thinking about the future is so important right now. And this project was aiming at not game designers specifically, but like citizens of different African cities so that they can actually contribute into what they think the future of cities could look like. And that comes from a special background, special life that they've led. And they get to become the people who make decisions, who have a say in what actually happens in the bigger scale of cities. So it's like using games as a mode of communication, basically, instead of just talking. It allows you to interact into an experience. And by immersing into that experience, you get to know what person is going through. And that's basically the huge story that keeps on going onto the future.
That's crazy. I love it. Leaving technology behind, we enter a more analog world. Now I am delighted to introduce you to Tadesse Mesfin, one of my country's most acclaimed painters. Let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Such an
How are
honor,
you?
such a privilege to be with you today.
I'm very happy to meet you.
Tadesse Mesfin did his fine art training at the St. Petersburg Art Academy in Russia. There, he was taught the style of Soviet social realism. Returning to Addis Ababa, Tadesse captured key events in Ethiopian history. That work over there looks very different from everything we see here. Would you tell me about it?
Okay. The story behind this painting is that it is the time that the Italians invaded Ethiopia.
The second Italian occupation of Ethiopia took place from 1935 to 1941. This sparked international outrage and led to Ethiopia becoming a symbol of anti-colonialism and resistance against European imperialism.
And then what I want to show in this painting is that the people and the landscape. When Ethiopian is the roof of Africa, it is more mountainous, you know. It's very difficult to invade Ethiopia. So I wanted to show that the people and the terrain has kept their independence together. What I want to show this, as you see in the center, it is black against the white background. I wanted to show symbol of Africa, symbol of black freedom, you know. And then there is a light coming from the right side. It is hope and freedom, and something good is coming out of sacrifice. So this painting is actually my private collection. That is the story of my painting.
In recent times, Tadesse has shifted his focus from historic subject matter to capturing contemporary Ethiopian life. And in leaving his teaching position as the professor at the prestigious Ale School of Art and Design, Tadesse is now introducing foreign art lovers to his work. And I hear you have a show coming up.
You know, my subject matter, I'm doing paintings on women. Women and who are selling goods in market areas, in the street. They are my heroes, and I respect them. They are really very serious people.
That's true, yeah.
They are hard workers. So I just want to make a homage for these women, you know.
Tadesse grew up near the busy Mercato market in Addis, and street market scenes have stayed with him.
But the idea is, you know, the market is a place where you have all over all kinds of colors, all kinds of people, animals, things, everything is coming together, you know. So this is really very fascinating, especially African market, Ethiopian markets.
Absolutely.
And then you come to my current works, what I'm doing for the exhibition. My paintings are more or less based on silhouette with a yellow golden leaf background of the traditional Ethiopian art. And I want to represent sun because we are under equator, you know, we have, especially on their faces, I make...
Just harsh shadows under their lines.
Yes. My interest has always been the figurative painting. As an artist, you have to be open.
Yeah.
There is no limit. There is only the limit, it might be the sky.
I leave Tadesse appreciating how after a career that has spanned more than 4 decades, he continues to push limits in how he portrays Ethiopian society today. Best of luck. All right.
Have a nice time.
Goodbye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
As a photographer, I'm drawn to the energy of my city. Addis is always new. You turn around in one corner, there's something happening, and it catches your eye. The skyline of Addis is dominated by construction cranes as people flock from the rural areas to find work. During the scramble for Africa, Ethiopia was one of the only 2 African countries to retain its independence. Its political history is complex and multifaceted, marked by periods of monarchy, military dictatorship, and our painful legacy also includes genocide, famine, and civil war. In recent times, we are trying to heal this through democratic dialogue. I want to play my part in creating a new Addis, and for me, that is about telling stories of my city. So you're here at my studio, and as you can see here, some of my prints are hanging. These are some shots from the busiest marketplace in Addis. It's called Mercato. It's really hectic. It's really hard to take pictures, but that's one of my favorite places to shoot. And I love learning about people's stories. One of my favorite projects is this book, Vintage Addis Ababa. We worked on this project for about 3 years with my colleagues Philip Schutz and Wengela Bebe. With the Vintage Addis Ababa project, my colleagues and I crowdsourced photographs from ordinary people who had great stories to tell from living memory. These were personal stories of hope, resilience, laughter, pride, and curiosity. And it's been such an honor working on it because I got to learn a lot of stories of people that lived in the era that was considered dark in history, because all we knew was people were fleeing the country and dying of hunger and genocide was happening. But through this book, I got to learn the history of my people who were enjoying life, going to cinema, getting married, having children, falling in love, all these beautiful things. And it was such an honor to be a part of it because it felt like I did something to my community. We all felt like we did something to give back. Heading south, our DW Art.See.Africa experience now takes us to an unusual collection of photographs. We're visiting the gallery space of photographer Mahader Haile Selassie. She has more than a decade of experience as a documentary photographer, and she has mentored me on my own photographic journey.
What I'm trying to do is find a different form of visual language to express a person. You know how the visual representation of Africa and African people have always been this really simplistic portraits. So I wanted to go a little bit further and to divert a little bit from that narration and find a new medium of telling a person's identity.
In the tradition of ethnographic photography in Ethiopia and Africa as a whole, portrait photographs would usually depict people in a simplistic manner, facing forward, posing formally for the camera. In creating her body of work called The Walls, Mahader would knock on the doors of ordinary people and ask to enter their homes to photograph their walls. In this way, these domestic interiors have come to represent people's identities.
One thing that's very common is I find portraits that are hanging on the wall. So it's not really a portrait of a person, but it's a photograph of a photograph within a different setting. I would like them to understand that this is a very complex person and this is a very complex country. It's not very simple.
I loved when you talked about how, as Africans, we're photographing. Portraits are the prominent images that we see, and photographing in these spaces, that's why I looked up to you, because you have a different take, different perspective. Mahader's photographic journeys have also taken her into a rural, mountainous region that lies in central Ethiopia and is filled with ancient culture. She looked at the engravings of old colonial travelers and then visited the same places today, and superimposed her contemporary photos over the engravings. In this way, Mahader has created a visual connection across time.
Yeah, so this is part of a body of work titled Between Yesterday and Tomorrow. So Showa was a political and economical center in the 19th century.
Showa was the seat of Emperor Menelik II. He was a national hero for preventing Italy's first attempt at conquering Ethiopia in 1896. Ethiopia's rugged mountainous terrain gave his army an advantage.
Landscapes have always been a very important aspect of Ethiopian history.
That's true.
So for me, it was really interesting.
Tell me about what you're working on now.
So I'm photographing the city that I was born in, Addis Ababa, and how it's changing, the process of change.
Great. So let's go out and take some pictures.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Look that way. What is that? Taking photos with Mahader out on the streets, I'm aware of how we as modern women of Addis have a new liberty to express ourselves using photography in a way that previous generations of women in our families did not. We speak with the digital voice claiming our freedom. Nice. I thought it would be fun to bring you to Fendika, a much adored jazz club in Addis. It also happens to be where my photography collective meets. I am a member of the group called the Center for Photography in Ethiopia. Each week, we meet to look at each other's pictures. This collaborative spirit sums up the creative scene in Addis Ababa today. With every work of art and every photograph, we each get to tell a new story about our country. This freedom is valuable to us. while our conversations continue into the night, the people of Addis party. What a wonderful journey it's been. I hope you enjoyed DW's Art.See.Africa, bringing you talented artists that are shaping the creative narratives of Africa.